Alrighty, welcome to episode 275 of Backpacking America. What a weird number. Almost to 300, but not totally there. I can't believe I've made it this far, to be honest with you. Fifth anniversary coming up in May. Let's get it. So today's episode, as I was rambling on to look at some technical difficulties over here, so I was rambling on. Today's episode is about Microsoft coping and seething over the fact that Google is just a better product compared to them. And basically, okay, so for those of you that don't know, Microsoft and Google are in the middle of a antitrust lawsuit. So Microsoft is one of the defendants Microsoft is one of the prosecuting parties against Google because they're saying they're a tech giant, and which is kind of funny because Microsoft is a tech giant that owned like a huge market share, if not all the market share of every computer built in the world. And they have Xbox, and they have entertainment services, and they have Bing, and they have what was it? They have a lot of other software developments too, but they have like a huge share of the entertainment and information network. Like a lot, you don't see Apple computers, at IT centers or infrastructure plants and shit. You see, Dells and HPs and everything that runs in a Microsoft system. Uh, they are also a tech giant. Google, now their biggest thing is that they're saying, oh well, the Google search engine is Apple uses the Google search engine to support Safari, and Google is just the go-to web browser for everyone, and Bing can't compete with that. So Google needs to be broken up because they're a trust. Now, first, I'd like to say that is a skill issue on the part of Microsoft, which runs Bing. Why is it why is it a skill issue? Well, it's actually very simple. Bing just sucks. It's an inferior search engine that when you Google something, you get barely any information on it. You get like half to 75% less information than if you Googled it. It's not a friendly interface. It's hard on the eyes. I feel like I'm getting less information out of it when I type stuff in. Like, I actually feel like I'm getting screwed out of everything, really. So Bing is an inferior product, and that's literally a skill issue on Microsoft because they offered, it seemed, more money to be. It seems they offered Apple $15 billion for them to drop Google and switch over to Bing. And the way it was sounding in this article that I read, it seemed like $15 billion was more than the offer Google gave Apple. And so Google has to pay Apple to use their... Wait, do they have to pay? I think I have it backwards. Sorry, I'm only on my third cup of coffee today. Google has to pay... No. Apple has to pay for Google to support, right? Pay them money. And it seems that, Microsoft is like, we'll give it to you for cheaper. We'll offer we'll offer $15 billion if you use our services. And Apple was like, nah, we're still going to stick with Google. So it's literally a skill issue on the part of on the part of Microsoft for providing an inferior product. It's not even like, and this is what's funny too, is that Microsoft is like basically a trust company, like a monopoly company, because they own so much of the computer software, the hardware, the entertainment market. They own a lot of that just because they don't own Bing. And the big thing is that's driving this suit that's been going on the last week is AI, artificial intelligence. And basically the CEO, Satya Nadella, warned on Monday when this all started, so today, of a nightmare scenario for the internet if Google's dominance in online search is allowed to continue. And this is a situation that starts with searches on desktop and mobile, but extends to the emerging battleground of artificial intelligence. So Nadella painted Google as this tech giant that blocked off ways for consumers to access rival search engines. That's bullshit because I literally on Google Chrome downloaded Firefox, and I have been using Firefox for like 3 years. Firefox is a absolutely superior search engine compared to Google or Microsoft's Bing. I only use Google Chrome, if I absolutely have to, because I really love Firefox's interface. It's very customizable, very friendly to the eye. It gives you more information, and it gives it in a friendlier manner. It's just more of a human experience on Firefox. So I like Firefox a lot more, and I was able to research all these different search engines on Google. I guarantee I wouldn't be able to on Bing. And this is just one of the recent spats between Google and Microsoft. They've been beefing since the 90s. So that's just not true, this claim they're making. And then we have so Google, right? So part of their strategy is its agreements with companies such as Apple, right, that have made Google the default search engine for millions of users. And Nadella said, and he testified, and this is literally a skill issue, so he's just coping. Nadella testified that every year he has been Microsoft CEO, he has unsuccessfully sought to persuade Apple to switch away from Google as its default search partner. He added that Microsoft has been willing to spend, so Microsoft has to pay Apple. Nadella's added that Microsoft has been willing to spend $15 billion a year for that privilege. A senior Apple executive, Eddie Q, testified last week that Apple has always considered Google the best search product for its users, a claim echoed by Google itself throughout the trial. So it sounds like Microsoft has been willing to outspend Google and say, yo, we'll give you $15 billion. Fuck what they're giving you. We'll give you $15 billion if you switch from Google to Microsoft's Bing. And Apple literally said Google is the best search product, meaning you suck. You have a skill issue. That's why we're not using you. It's not trust behavior for us to use Google because your product sucks. If it was genuinely a good product and there was a lot of people that enjoyed the product and it still was getting squandered out, that's a different story. But this doesn't qualify as a trust. Now, don't get me wrong. I love multi-billion-dollar corporations getting fucked up. It's funny. But like this, I'm sorry. I have to side with Google on this one. Microsoft is just coping and seething because it's finally becoming irrelevant. And that's for all the money you took from me for Xbox Live. Then Nadella says it's more worrisome because there's enormous amounts of search data that's provided to Google through its default agreements, and that can help Google train its AI models to be better than anyone else, is threatening to give Google an unassailable advantage in generative AI that would further entrench its power. So this is now I think what's worrying is that, Google and Microsoft are part of the security state and they're gathering so much information on American citizens and global citizens that could be used against them by their own governments. I think that's the big concern in the room, which is why, again, I download Firefox. But this, literally, it's just coping and seething. He's just mad that Google has an edge because it's a better product, and everyone agrees that it's a better product. I don't, but most people agree it's a better product, and Microsoft is pissed off, so they're trying to sue them. And then there's more coping and seething. Again, a skill issue. Despite being profitable and despite investing $100 billion in it over the past 20 years, Microsoft's Bing search engine has only a single-digit market share in mobile search and only slightly more into the teens in desktop search. Adding that one of his dreams has been to see Bing account for at least 20% of the something. It got cut off. But basically, they spent $100 billion for less than a quarter of all desktop searches and like in the 5% maybe of mobile phone searches. No one likes Bing. It's a shitty search engine. It doesn't give as many options or interactivity that Google does. You can't create a Microsoft Bing business account, a Bing business account. You can't leave a Bing review. You can't. There's just so many things and so many features that are not accessible on Bing that are on Google. Like people like Jeff, right? The real estate kid I had on my show quite a while ago. He has a Google business account and he gives a bunch of reviews on his business account to generate more business and brand visibility. That is incredibly smart. You cannot do that with Bing. There is a reason people use Google. Google is the one-stop shop. It has the search engine. It has all the content. They bought YouTube. They have a whole interactive suite where I run my business out of Google Drive. My whole thing, everything Google, my business runs on. Because Google is the one-stop shop. Microsoft needs to brand itself as something different, or it needs to create products that can compete in that market. They're only focused on search, hardware, and software. They're not focused on a whole experience. They microcosm themselves. Google did not. This is not even a trust issue. This is literally a skill issue. Microsoft can cope like a little seething bitch because they suck. Then their CEO, Nadella, continues, saying that the same data advantage could create even more of a nightmare as large language models compete on the basis of the data they are trained on. What's concerning is it reminds me of what happened with distribution deals in a search, he testified. Under questioning by a Google attorney, Nadella admitted that in some cases, defaults are not the sole determinant of success. Google was able to overcome Microsoft's own Internet Explorer defaults on Windows PCs to become the market-leading desktop web browser. Again, pure coping. Fucking Microsoft got bitched and cucked. The Microsoft got cuckolded on their own device by Google Chrome. People said, "Yo, you know what? We're not gonna use Internet Explorer anymore. We're going to use Google Chrome." And you know why everyone started using Google Chrome? Because they fucked with Internet Explorer too much. They got rid of Flash. When they got rid of Flash Player, that got rid of everyone off of Internet Explorer. Everyone used to use Internet Explorer because it was just as good as Google, if not better. And then they kept fucking with updates. After Windows 10, they just fucked with everything so much that they fell behind. Internet Explorer used to be very competitive with Google Chrome. And for a while, Internet Explorer and Bing operated hand in hand. They were both search engines, but people preferred Internet Explorer over Bing. By shutting down Internet Explorer, not only did they got rid of Flash games, like the Flash players, Adobe Flash Player. That fucked up like the Flash game market. That fucked up Flash Player markets. It really damaged, what the unique perspective that Internet Explorer had, and it damaged a very reliable name, kitchen table, recognizable brand, which was Internet Explorer. It damaged it, and then they pulled the plug after Windows 10 or 11, and then they just replaced it with Bing. Well, guess what? No one wants to use Bing, so they went to Google Chrome. Not because not because initially it was a better product, but because it was similar and it was just accessible. And then Google bought out YouTube. The Google Drive shit was great. The whole Google product line is great. Microsoft just couldn't compete after that. Instead, they wanted to go for fucking Bing. That was so stupid of them. And then they got cucked on their own devices. I have a Dell right now, and I use Firefox. I don't use Microsoft Edge or Bing. I don't use it. It's fucking garbage. I use Firefox. So they literally, and Nadella admitted it. So his whole basis just went out the window because like there's an application that comes with your device, such as Safari with Apple, or in my case Microsoft Edge with my Dell, doesn't mean that I'm going to stick with those things. It means I could use something else, and I have the choice to. And the people literally looked at Dell's fucking shit, Microsoft shit, and went, nah, we're gonna use Google. Can you imagine if that's the equivalent of iPhone users not using Safari and instead downloading Bing to their phone and saying, nah, fuck Safari, I'm gonna go on Bing. That is can you imagine how unhappy you have to be with a product to actually physically take time out of your day, search for it on the App Store, and then download it? It takes 5 minutes, but you chose to spend 5 minutes doing that instead of just taking 30 seconds and booting up the search engine that came with the computer. That is how shitty Microsoft's products are. It's a competition problem, and they can't compete. Then we have this segment on AI training, which honestly I didn't really care to look at because I think AI is absolutely garbage. He's going on again about Google and other companies using carrot and sticks to keep people using its products by default, which is bullshit because in the previous thing that I just spent 2 minutes ranting about, he actually just admitted that just because it's a default doesn't mean that you get carrot and sticked into using it. It's just there and people like it, so they don't want to use anything else. And then, you get to the AI segment. Honestly, I'm not a fan of AI. I think it's garbage personally. I think it takes away the human element of it, and anything that AI does, humans can do better. And this is the stupid thing about AI. Humans still need to tweak it anyway. For brainstorming, yeah, I guess it's cool. But like, imagine how cool it's like dating apps. Dating apps, I use them, but they're stupid. Like, think of this, right? You're thinking of an idea for something, right? And you're in a coffee shop, and it hits you what you're looking at. You're sitting there, you're looking, and you're thinking of a coffee-based podcast, and there it is, brew time, or the bean water. I don't know. You come up with a name just by being in an environment and getting inspiration from your surroundings. Like that is gonna stick with you much more than if you went on AI on ChatGPT and you typed in 55 names for coffee related podcasts, and then you just picked one from there. Like, it takes away the human experience of creativity. That's what it does. It's stupid and it's garbage for that. Like, there's no soul to that. Just like with dating. Like, you know how gay it is to fucking, like, your parents are sitting down with you and your new partner on fucking sitting down with you and your new girl, because fucking I'm not using that partner shit anymore. I don't know why I use it. Sitting down with you and your new girl, and it's Thanksgiving or it's Sunday dinner, and you're all sitting there and they're like, yo, so how did you guys meet? Oh, we met on Tinder. She was wearing a crop top and her titties were out. Like, that's stupid. Whereas, you meet someone in person, it's like, oh yeah, like I saw them work. Like, if you're at the gym, like, oh, I saw her working out at the gym, and then like she was wearing a shirt with my favorite band on it, and I was like, yo, I love that band. I actually just saw them in concert. Like, that's so much more human and real, and that's gonna create such a lasting impact rather than just like swiping through on an app and then just like, oh wow, I met someone on an app. There's actually like a story behind it. Just like there's a story with creativity. Like, you're sitting in a park and you get this inspiration for a name or a concept, or you're like, oh my God, I have to write this down, and it becomes like 3 chapters of a book. You're not going to get that with ChatGPT and AI. So that's why I think it's garbage. Microsoft is big mad because they suck and they've lost their lackluster that they had in the 2000s and 2010s. Bing is a garbage search engine, and Firefox is the best browser, even compared to Google. As much as I love Google Drive and all that stuff, if Firefox had something comparable and just as accessible, I would use it 100% and abandon Google. I really, really, really love Firefox. It's encrypted. It protects your identity from hackers and shit, and it does, enable safe searches, so that way, no one can like hack into your engine and see what you're looking up, trying to get your data, meaning corporations, government, all that stuff. So that way you could research freely and not have to worry about some guy in a suit looking for your information to either incriminate you or to sell you something from CVS. So that is why I like Firefox. It's also faster. You get better information, and you may get information that you wouldn't have seen on Google because Firefox doesn't have a fucked up algorithm. So Firefox is the best, but Microsoft is the worst. Bing is garbage, and I haven't thought about Bing since I read this article. Anyway, thank you again for listening to episode 275 of Backpacking America.